Cool TV community updates. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for all the over 10,000 viewers and listeners that tune into our show every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. And we are glad that you are here. Tonight we have none other than attorney Linda Bernard, who is also the Detroit Police Department Commissioner. And we're going to be talking about this hot topic right now, the Tyree Nichols beating of five cops that beat him and all the others that stood around in Memphis, Tennessee. So we want you to call in tonight. Many people have, there's all kind of dialogue that's been going on around this case. So please feel free to call in tonight with your questions, your comments, your concerns at 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018. Now, normally on Community Updates, we share some community information and jobs and various things at the beginning of the show. But because this is such a controversial topic and a lot to be discussed, we're going to jump right into it. And we're so glad to have you here tonight, Attorney Linda Bernard. And I know you said I can call you Linda, but I just thank you. You have done a lot. You do a lot in our city, and you do a lot for our communities. And we thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and thank you for inviting me this evening. It's a delightful experience to be here with you on your show.
Well, thank you. So, Tyree Nichols, we all saw it on every platform that you could see it on. The gentleman being beaten by five black cops, and it was very sad. Hear him calling out for his mother, being stopped for a simple traffic stop. Not sure why. I understand he turned some corners, but he was tased and drug out of his car immediately for a traffic stop, and then beaten down. And I have several questions that I don't quite understand.
Okay.
I don't quite understand what would make, we see on television regularly because of our computer technology, the cameras with both phones and passersby, the cameras that the police have, the cameras that are on the neighborhood watch various places. So everything is camera. So we see
True.
that now. So we've known for years that there's been a black and white situation where people were beaten. That's not a new thing.
No,
Just
no, it's
the
not.
cameras allowed us to see it.
Correct.
But when you see black people, someone said, I heard today that, well, it wasn't surprising that black people beat black people. Well, it was a little shocking to me. You're on camera and you see how the white cops are beating the black people, and then we got black people beating the black people, and then you're on camera. What could have been, I know you can't answer all this, what was going on in their mind, but what kind of anger, I'm wondering, could they have had to want to beat down a person? And I know they say, well, if you run, and he did run from the police officers, that if you run, you're going to get a beat down. But come on
That's
now.
illegal.
We beat him till you just die?
You don't get a beat down for running. That's not true. That is illegal in every police department in America. There are more than 800,000, I believe, police officers nationwide, more than 300,000 departments, and that is illegal. You don't get a beat down because you run. You get chased if you run, and if they catch you, you get handcuffed and you get arrested. That's what's supposed to happen. That's correct. I feel your pain, and I feel the pain of everyone in our community as we watch that video and see the pictures of Tyree dressed in a suit, dressed in sports clothes.
2 minutes from his house.
Yeah, just a cool 29-year-old young brother who's also a father, and as you pointed out, a son. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I want to go back to the point that you raised about black officers doing this, since that seems to be the crux of this. First of all, the officers that did this beating, beat him to death. I'm not even going to try to make it perform. They beat a man to death. they were all part of a special ops group in Memphis called Scorpion. Very similar to what we had when we had stress here in Detroit, where about 12 or 14 young black men were killed by the Detroit Police Department through the stress unit. And that unit was violent and believed that they were all powerful and believed that they could, obviously, they were the law. They were judge, jury, and executioner. So, and that's how they conducted themselves in the street. And there was also this group in Detroit called the Big Four, where they rode around in these big black, like Lincoln Marquis, Ford Marquis, the four-door car. And four of them would jump out to anybody on the street and intimidate them, sometimes beat them, do all kinds of things to them. That was all part of what I call the code of blue. And I say that as the police commissioner. I always tell people that the 11th commandment is that thou shalt not testify against another police officer. That's their code. They wear a blue
And we know that.
bracelet. Right. I mean, it's just true. And
The other thing being said, I don't mean to stop you, is that if they had not been on camera, then they probably wouldn't be charged just because
they wouldn't.
because of the code, the 11th commandment.
Yeah.
But because it was on camera.
right. How stupid can you be? But anyway,
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, most often, well, for a long time, well, many departments do not have body-worn cameras. Detroit does. It's mandatory under Detroit's police department policies that the Board of Police Commissioners has put in place that any encounter with a citizen is to be, your body cam has to be on. Unless the citizen requests that it not be on. Like, let's say you just got in a big fight with your boyfriend and you don't want to talk about it on camera. That kind of thing. Or your daughter, your minor child was molested or raped and you don't want to talk about it on camera.
Okay.
So
the citizen has to request.
the citizen can request.
Okay.
And it's documented on the camera that I do not want my interview or my statement to be recorded. Now that doesn't happen at the police station. There's no option. But you're in a room like this, and it's and it's isolated. So no, but this was absolutely atrocious. But these special units, special ops units, often think that my mom always say, all that in a bag of chips. They think they are the law, they make the law, and they punish people for violating the law. And I think that's what you saw there.
But what did he really violate? And
They said it was reckless driving, but I don't believe it was. I mean, reckless driving is
corner and didn't stop when they asked him to stop. Okay, I
Right.
get that, but did he deserve to be snatched out of his car? Okay, maybe that was part of the special unit that I'm gonna snatch you out, but it just seemed very just too intense for a simple traffic. And I don't want to say simple, for a traffic violation.
Well, in Detroit, we have changed our policies. We no longer pursue people who are fleeing because of the fact, for example, you take off. I'm in the police car. I'm trying to get you, Michelle, and so you speed up. I speed up. We are ordered to discontinue the chase because we can hurt ordinary people. As you're fleeing, you can run up on a curb, run over a mother and a daughter, or mother and a son, or an old person in a walker or a wheelchair. We have a strict policy. We do not chase. Okay. So that eliminates the one of the big possibilities. But in this particular instance, they obviously chased him, and because they already have the license plate. I can find you.
Well, you could see where they chased him and then accosted him again, and then that's when they started the severe beating and kicking and
They were teaching him a lesson for running away. I'm the man. You don't run from the man. Stay in your place, kind of
thus
thing.
that's what I'm saying. It has become. It's not the law. It's not something they should do. But it's like, if you make me chase you, then I'm gonna get
It's worse.
It's worse.
Oh, they always will. And even with that, they would have still charged him with the felony of fleeing and eluding, which is a felony, a 5-year felony. To run from the police has consequences separate from the action that they are pursuing you for, i.e., speeding or even reckless driving, which I doubt was the case. I haven't seen the camera footage, the dash cam footage of the quote chase of him, but I don't know that it was reckless driving in terms of the initial stop. So I haven't seen either whether or not he had any existing warrants or anything like that. So when they did stop him, that might have encouraged them, well, you're away on it or something like that. But I don't think that was the case either.
Well, again, we want you listeners and callers to call in tonight. You've got questions. I've heard some of the comments. Call in at 313-355-6018. We've got Police Commissioner Linda Barnett, who is also an attorney here in the state of Michigan, who can share her insight to some of the police system. And we're going to be asking what do you want from the police system? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What kind of things do we really want from the police department? Do we want our police to make our areas safer? Do we want them to keep areas free from thugs? Do we want them to be able to put fear in people? Because it's also caused a lot of people to not want to go into the field of becoming a police officer, which is unfortunate.
That is being said quite a bit, but the salaries are good. You can join a police department when you're 18 years of age. All you have to do is have a clean record. Quite frankly, it has excellent benefits, and the residual benefits that you have from being, because you can retire out at 38 years of age and go into a whole new career and have that pension
So
and
you
that
heard
ability.
it first. They have great benefits.
They
to
do. We
becoming
have great
a
benefits.
police officer.
Right.
But I'm just
We now pay up to $73,000 for officers who are just ordinary officers, police officers up to the rank of sergeant.
So when they come out of
The academy, it's only 20 weeks.
okay, and what's
What else
some
can
of
you
the
do in
starting
20?
salaries?
I'm sorry?
What are some of the starting salaries?
About 40 something now, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good, especially for an
And,
18-year-old.
and you have,
Or
full
a young
medical,
person.
dental, life insurance, all kinds of stuff. I
Okay.
mean, it's an amazing job and career. And you have a union. So in case there are labor management issues that you don't agree with, then of course the union will protect you, defend you, and try to help you keep your job. Generally, officers keep their jobs.
Okay. Well, the other thing that was disturbing to me was seeing that we've seen the myriad of police brutality cases that have happened around the country over the past few years, whether it be George Floyd or the young man who was jogging in his neighborhood and stopped by some people and beaten to death. But when white officers or vigilantes are stopped, it's taking a year for them to get charged. Black police officers were given, I believe, 7 accounts of various charges immediately.
Well, that's an interesting observation that you made, and you're absolutely right. In the George Floyd case, it took months, almost a year, certainly before there were actual charges. I mean, not months. I think that the charges were made, but that was. I mean, right now you're just at the charges stage with these officers. I listened to a couple of their defense attorneys, who incidentally were white, the ones that I saw. And they were saying you have to wait to see everything that's happened. There are people that were directly involved and people that were not directly involved in the beating. But just as we know, with the George Floyd case, the 3 officers that were later charged, who just stood there and watched Mark Slavin with his knee on the guy's neck and kill him, they had a duty to intervene. They didn't do that. And so these officers as well, although each of them sort of
And
got
some
in.
firemen.
I'm sorry?
Now. So there were some firemen with this current
Yes.
case and some other police
Right.
officers just
Right.
standing around.
Right, all watching this.
All
right,
watching it.
Right, like it was a video or something, you know what I mean?
But what does that say about our police department?
What does it say about our fire department?
And our fire
That's the emergency response team. They're the people who come out with EMS.
You would
To
think
ta- they-
someone
EMS
would
works for the
say,
fire department.
Hey, that's enough. Hey, you might
Yeah,
hurt him.
yeah.
I'm a medical person. You beat
Right.
him enough.
Right, you would think that.
You would think that.
No, but the code. Remember? We don't interfere. Thou shalt not talk about another law enforcement person or person that's in public safety, which is what not EMS, pardon me, the fire department, which is part of EMS, and the police department are both part of public safety. Our office, my office in downtown Detroit, for the police commission, is adjacent on the other side of the elevators to the fire department. We're both involved in public safety equally.
But what can we do? Is there anything that can be done about some of this code that is amongst police officers? I mean, something has to stop, because it's not just black police officers or white police officers. It is a code in the
That is
law
correct.
enforcement
Right.
field.
Yeah,
That's
we have each
because-
other's back.
Yeah, and
It
that's
just is what it
good
is.
to a degree.
Right, it is.
But then with these cameras and you're beating people senselessly, killing people senselessly, what happened? Why can't some of these people get shot in the leg? Why do they have to be shoot to kill?
No officer is taught to shoot to hurt or to maim. They are all they're trained to shoot for the body mass. That's just every department in the country. Nobody shoots to wound. They all shoot to kill, to end the threat. So you want a permanent solution to the threat to you as an officer, and that's how they are trained.
But now this young man didn't
But
have
they
a
tried to
weapon.
tase him. There was no reason to shoot him at all.
He didn't have a weapon.
No, but he was beaten to death.
He was beaten to death.
Yeah, he didn't have he didn't have a weapon or anything like that. But he was just beaten to death. They just took out their rage because they could. May I comment about one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I was watching something on Fox News the other night, and they were saying that race had nothing to do with this killing. That we, as some people in our community, automatically say, well, this is not a white officers on a black person. This is black people on a black person, and that therefore it's not racist. But actually it is. Both you and I know that it is because of the racism that exists within our own
culture.
community.
That's right.
From light being right to black get back to we want a white doctor, we want a white lawyer, we
Or you're just automatically a thug and I don't want to be around you.
Right. That there is an intrinsic racism and bigotry, bias and prejudice within the black community with respect to other black people. It just is.
And
because
that
we've
was
been
one of
taught
the
that all
most
that
disturbing things.
no, we've been taught that everything that's black is negative, is no good, is less than. Oh, a black person's in medical school. They had to get them through affirmative action. Oh, a new black lady is a professor. Oh, they had to hire her because they had to meet their quota. I mean, we can't be meritorious in our own right, which is and that's what these guys were. If that had been a white kid, a
They
white
would have
young,
done
they
that.
would never have done that.
done that.
Never,
No,
never.
not at all. And so that was one of the things that I was wondering.
So
what
that
kind-
racism exists.
What kind of hate did they have that they wanted to just beat this black
He's a
man down?
Negro. He ain't shit.
Yeah.
He ain't nothing in the first place. We look at our own selves as thugs, and
Yeah.
the rest of the world does as well. It's amazing to me.
It's sad.
And
It's
if
very
you don't
sad.
believe it, Jesse Jackson has an expression. He says, if you see two people selling ice, one black, one white, you'll go to the white person because somehow the white man's ice block is colder than the black. It's intrinsic in our brain.
Even in our terminology, anything black is identified as being bad.
Correct.
And it's not so.
Correct.
But that's been ingrained in us since the beginning.
But it's part of our culture.
It is.
For the same reason I say I got a white lawyer. Duh. The complexion of his skin or her skin makes the difference. It's what we do. It's what we've been trained for centuries to believe that black is inferior, and we believe that. Many of us, even the people as young as the guys who beat Tyree, they believe it. He's just a nigga. We can beat his ass, whatever you want to say.
But they must have known that cameras were watching.
It didn't.
They didn't think about
They
that.
did.
They
Not
didn't
only did they
care.
not think about it,
They
nobody
didn't
thought
care.
it didn't matter. No, it was that he was a Negro.
Right.
They would never have done that with a white person. Never in a million years.
No.
No kind of ignorant white boy could get. That white boy that shot 11 people in the church in Carolina. I went to the church actually. I went down there for one of their services. What did they do? He said he was hungry in the backseat of the car. They stopped at Burger King, got him food and drinks.
I saw that.
He's a white boy.
He's a white boy.
He's
They
a white
never
boy.
would have done that
That makes
if
him
it was a black person.
privileged.
Yes.
No, we got to take care of the white boy. He can't get hungry. He can't be thirsty.
But there's something sad with
But
the
when
way
it's a
we think
Negro,
about it.
those people in Texas drug him back from the back of their truck until they killed him. They killed him on the road. Put ropes around him and tied him to the back of the truck and drug him and killed him.
And the other thing
They
is,
executed him that way because it was okay.
but they're
He's a dog.
executing all kind of white people, execute all types of black people, and with this happening, it kind of gives them, see, black people are killing them. Well, they've always looked
Well, we do.
at
But that's in every culture. That's in
Right.
every culture because we're vulnerable. Our neighbors are vulnerable, so we attack those who are vulnerable. We ain't gonna go attack a white person because we know the consequences are greater. I mean, it just is what it is. If you have a choice between fighting me and fighting Shaquille O'Neal, you go pick me. I mean, you're not gonna go against Goliath, you know.
That is a big man.
Yeah, I mean, or anybody. I mean, you're not going to go against the person who you know has the power of the community, money power, society power, media power, every kind of power. And that's what white people have. They have all the power. And
what
so you're
can
not
we
going to
do
attack them.
about does police reform need to come into play? A lot of people are going now down there to protest. I even got a text today about a group that's going down to Memphis. Jaheim McMillan's 16th birthday is today, and people are in Gulfport, Mississippi, working on his case, and they're protesting. They've got a protest that's going to be happening this Saturday because he was apparently wrongly, there was some wrong injustice done to him. And so there are a lot of people who are going to be protesting this. But what are we protesting? Are we protesting for police reform? Are we protesting for better leadership in our police department? For police to be trained in a different manner than what they're currently trained? This was a special unit. Aren't they all supposed to be
It
a
has been
special
disbanded
unit?
now. No, they're not all. No. This was a unit designed, in my opinion, like Stress was, to get the Negroes under control. That was the purpose. Memphis is a black city. Memphis is larger than Detroit. We think Detroit's all that, but we're not even close. Memphis is a larger city than Detroit. And there's a significant black population there, just like there has historically been in Detroit, although that's fading fast, as you know. So, no.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And it's happening right up under our noses, and people aren't really paying attention.
Well, actually they are, but we're selling
Not
out.
enough
I mean,
of them
in
are
terms of,
paying
and their taxes, property maintenance, certainly blight violations, all these things make it difficult to be a homeowner in the city of Detroit, as you know. I mean, it's expensive, much more expensive than it's ever been. And so many people are renters. So, the landlords now, instead of getting $600 a month, they can get $1,200 a month for one 2-bedroom flat. Right off of Livernois
People are
and
taking
Davison.
back the city.
I'm sorry?
They're taking back the city.
No, we're giving it to them. Nobody can
Yeah,
take anything
we're
from
giving
you.
it to them.
No, I mean, I was talking to over there behind the cathedral on Woodward Avenue. They were telling me, and Highland Park, how many Chinese people have moved in, how many white people have moved. That housing stock is magnificent. Those 3-bedroom flats, that's 2,500 square feet on one floor. Those flats are gorgeous. I was just over there the other day. I had forgotten. The housing stock in Detroit is the best in the country, and it has been for years.
Has been for
Yeah,
years.
for years. And so that,
Ever
I
since
mean,
we
it's
had our
dilapidated.
nuisance abatement and the repair their own programs.
Yeah, but the programs were there for white people to come in and buy. The land bank took all kinds of
They
people's
did.
property, and then they sold it back to anybody who wanted it for $1. And now everybody, even in my neighborhood, so gentrification is real, really real. I live in the University District.
Okay.
I'm on that board as
That
well.
area is changing.
Oh yeah, it's about 50% white now.
Uh-huh.
It used to be, like really cool black folks. They're all moving to Texas, moving here, moving there.
Yeah.
Um, and if you can get $500,000 for your house, why not 400,000?
Yeah.
They do that.
So we need you listeners to call in at 313-355-6018. There's been so much feedback, and see, that's one of the other problems we have. We'll talk about these things in small little conversations, but when it comes to really sharing how we really feel, we want to argue about it, or we'll go to the city meetings and argue and fight about it instead of talking calmly to try to come to some resolve and see if we can get some resolve, because something does need to be done with how the police reform. Something needs to be done with how things are being handled, no matter what color a person is, whether it's a black cop, white cop. We know that there's crime. There's always going to be some crime. But we can't just be senselessly killing people, because even I'm a part of a prayer team, and I work in the prisons as well, and the jails in Macomb County Correctional Facility and in Huron Valley Correctional Facilities. I mean, they're just people that are. Everybody in jail is not
A hardened career criminal or a violent criminal.
Exactly, but yet the black people or people of color get ridiculous sentences, and a murderer can get out for 2 years if he's white.
Well, there are many injustices, certainly within the criminal justice system. But I was listening to the radio coming home. I'm coming here to meet you today, and they were talking about people on bail, and that 43% of the people that are released on bail or no bond reoffend. But that still means that 57% don't. So we focus on that group that was released that reoffended. But what about that group that you released, which is greater than the group that has reoffended, that have never reoffended, that you did the right thing for? Besides that, when you're charged with a crime, you're presumed innocent. The only reason you're supposed to deny bail to someone is if they are a flight risk. That's number one. Like if you have a passport for the Dominican Republic or something like that, if you're a flight risk, or if I think that you're extremely violent, there's a risk with respect to you being, and if that doesn't exist, then you should be released.
There was a case I think I heard yesterday of a young man who had bond, who had raped a young lady.
That might happen.
And then the bond wasn't that high. He posted bond for that, came out and hurt someone else. And so now his bond is
$1 million or more.
Right.
7 figures.
After he hurt someone else.
Well, but you can't
And
predict
happens.
that.
Yeah,
I mean, you just can't. I mean, but think of all the people that were released that didn't reoffend and
Exactly.
didn't rape anybody.
Exactly.
Your son, let's say if you had a son or a brother or something, and, he's being charged with criminal sexual conduct, which can range from criminal sexual conduct 1 to criminal sexual conduct 4. If you grab a girl's behind, that's criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. That makes you have to register as a sex offender. I mean, it's also a felony. I mean, it just is. I mean, the laws are so so strict when it comes to some people that do anything versus other people. But I firmly believe that people who have not been convicted of a crime should not be treated like they're a criminal. You can put an ankle monitor on them if you want to make sure they're staying away from you, for example, or things like that. But I firmly believe in our new bond system, and I believe that a person should not be charged as an adult unless they're 18. I tell people this. I say, it's like being pregnant. You can't be either I'm an adult or I'm a child. I can't be a little bit pregnant. I'm either pregnant or I'm not. But make up your mind. Don't say that I'm a child when it's a heinous crime. I mean, an adult when it's a heinous crime. But if I have sex, for example,
Then I'm a child.
yeah, then I'm a child. And that's a natural act. A natural, consensual act for me. But I'm suddenly a child for that, for something I wanted to do with somebody I wanted to do it with, versus making me, an adult for purposes of an unnatural act, which is killing someone.
So, like you're saying, that the laws are very strict, and as I was hearing on the news, the 5 police officers in the Tyree Nichols case, one of the charges out of the 7 charges that they were charged with, one of them was for kidnapping. And that was simply because they moved the body. And if you touch a body and move someone, then that's considered
All of that'll be
kidnapping.
dismissed.
But that's what I was hearing.
That will be
That'll
dismissed.
probably
We always
be
pile on the
dismissed.
charges.
Yeah.
You know, so it says 18 count indictment.
But
You know what I mean?
they piled on these charges.
They've got 7-count indictment.
Immediately. I felt bad for the mayor, seeing him on the CNN, crying, getting ready to retire, and he took him a minute to gather himself. Because
didn't
it was
see
very
that.
sad. It was immediately after it happened, he was on the CNN, and I forget the anchor person that was interviewing him, but it took him a minute to gather himself because he said, "Here I am getting ready to retire, and now this happens." And it was doubly sad because these were black men killing another. Well, he wasn't dead yet; he died 3 days later. But beating this young man, crying for his mother. And, I always wonder what would have happened if he had called on the name of Jesus. Even though that was sad that he called on his mother, I wondered if he had said Jesus, hopefully they would have stopped. But it was just sad.
He was fortunate enough to have his mother. My mother died
Very
when I was
fortunate.
5, so I wouldn't be calling on my mother. But I would be calling on my Lord, my God, Jesus Christ, my Savior. That's a fact.
And you never know what will happen when you're confronted with situations like that. I was even sharing with my grandson, and God forbid he should ever get stopped for anything, but just lay down. Don't ask any questions. If they tell you to lay down on the ground, just lay down on the ground.
They make you sit on the curb.
If sit on the curb, whatever they tell you to do, don't go, because you could see that Tyree Nichols was, so why are you stopping me? What are you doing?
He has a right to know that. When you
Yeah.
stop a person
But
in
they
the
just
city of
continue to
Detroit,
beat him.
when you have stop a person in the city of Detroit, you're supposed to announce, I'm Officer Jones. I'm stopping you because you ran that light. Or you didn't signal changing lanes, whatever it is.
They
They're
didn't
supposed to
appear to do
tell
any
you.
of that.
Of course not. They're supposed to tell you what they're stopping you for. And you have a right to ask them, why did they stop you? Etc. I mean, there's so many things that we don't know our rights.
Extra beatings, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
As it appeared on
Or
the
better
video.
yet, what's your name and badge number? You have a right to all of that information. And the first question, though, is do you have on your body cam? Is your body cam on? Because that will record everything you say and everything he says. So if you're calling him a bunch of B's or a bunch of MFs or whatever it is you're saying, that's all on body cam too. But the best part about this is the brochure that on me and my history in terms of the law.
And thank you for sharing that.
You're more than welcome. But on the back of this brochure, this is the number that everyone should remember in Detroit.
Please share that number.
It's the Board of Police Commissioners, Office of the Chief Investigator. I'm going to give it right back to you.
Okay.
It's at 900 Merrill Plaisance Street, Detroit, over at Palmer Park, right as you make that right turn to go over to Woodward.
Oh, okay.
It's been there forever. The phone number, though, you can make a complaint by phone about anything that happens to you with a Detroit police officer or any other officer.
What's that number?
It is area code 313-596-2499. Again, 313-596-2499. Now let me explain to you what the Office of the Chief Investigator does. The Office of the Chief Investigator works for the Board of Police Commissioners. Many cities now, Detroit was, I think, the first in the nation to have a Board of Police Commissioners, but most cities do have one now, which is an oversight board for the police department. All 2,700 Detroit police officers report to Chief White. Chief White reports to us and to the mayor.
Okay.
So that's how it works. But the Office of the Chief Investigator has a full staff of people that take complaints from citizens about the way the police have treated them. If you feel that he was rude to you, it can go from everything from demeanor to any sort of violent act, use of force against you, or anything else that happens. You have a right to make a complaint. That complaint is investigated by investigators who work not for the police department, but by investigators who work for us. And then there's a report regarding that. Your allegation, let's say you say, Linda, he called me a BI or whatever. Okay. We'll pull the video. We'll get the witness statements. Maybe someone was in the car with you. We'll talk to them, all that stuff. And so we'll say, okay, your complaint is sustained, meaning that therefore we're going to take disciplinary action against that officer. A sustained complaint by you as a citizen. And if it's not sustained, if we can't determine what happened, or we look at the video and say, well, he didn't really call you that. You know, he sort of maybe muttered under his breath, maybe moved back, but he didn't call you that. You know what I mean? Then we'll say it's not sustained. But every police department now has a complaint division.
But Attorney Bernard, this young man didn't get a chance
He didn't
make a complaint.
No, he didn't. He was. There were so many things they did wrong. He had about 20 different complaints that would have been made. Even, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, from the way they approached him to the way they addressed him,
Snatched him right out the car
right
immediately.
to assaulting him, excessive use of force. I mean, there were so many
any
things.
rights being read.
No.
I didn't hear any of that.
No.
If it happened at all.
No, if they were going to take him into custody, they had to give him the Miranda rights. You're absolutely
I
right.
didn't hear it.
They didn't do it because they're used to not having to do it. Because black folks don't matter.
But what can we do, if anything, regarding police reform? Because that should not happen. Even if you're a special task force, you should not be allowed, whether the cameras are there or not,
I agree.
not be able to read me my Miranda rights, to allow me to not be able to ask a question of why are you stopping me?
Correct. That's an
Because
excellent question.
now it causes citizens to be able to say, and like I shared with my grandson, don't say a word. Just do whatever they tell you to do, because the man was just asking.
Don't
"Why
do
are you
everything they
stopping
tell you
me?"
to do, because some things they don't have a right to tell you to do.
They didn't have a right to do that, but the man still
No.
died.
But let me give you an example of that applies right here in Detroit a lot. You get pulled over, and let's say that they walk up to you and they ask you, have you been drinking? Or they will ask you to step out of the car, which they can ask you to do, but you don't have. That's when you say, why are you stopping me, officer? What is the purpose of your stop? If the purpose
But
of the
then
stop...
if they stop, if you say that, and then they open your car
Oh,
door,
then
and
they're
drag
assaulting
you
you.
out of the car.
Oh, then you got a heck of a lawsuit. It's a wonderful
if
thing.
you can get
If you
to
survive.
that point, if you survive.
Right. No.
This young man didn't have a chance.
Nobody
for any
has to
of
be,
that.
nobody's drug out of their car. You can't do that. The question is, why did you stop me? Well, you ran the light, Linda, whatever. Okay, then, officer, please give me a citation. Here's my license, my registration. There's no, and you never, ever, ever consent to the search of your car. Well, can I search your car? No.
You have to have a warrant to do that, right?
Right. Don't ever, because you don't know what somebody else left in your car.
Exactly.
Somebody could have been in the back seat and left a bag of weed, or maybe they like fentanyl or whatever. You don't know what people do. You don't know people like you think you know people, or left a gun, a small Derringer or something, and then and that's an automatic 2 years for you. Automatic. It's not negotiable. No, you cannot search my car. You have no reasonable suspicion to search my car. They can search with reasonable suspicion.
But I hear
Like
what
if they
you're
see a
saying,
gun on
but
the back
if
seat.
I refuse to do what the police officers are telling me to do, then what?
Then you tell them no. You ask for a supervisor. That's the first thing you do. You ask, I want to see your sergeant.
Do you think that would have prevented these 5 special unit police if I had said, well, let me speak
I
to
wanna
your
see your
I want to
supervisor.
see your supervisor.
Correct.
Because you're not telling
It
me
would have
to
checked
stop.
them mentally, because
Okay.
they would realize at that moment.
They seem to be on 10. Their adrenaline
Right.
seem to be high.
Right, but they did not have unlimited power that they have a boss. There's somebody they have to report to, and that would have reminded them of that. But I'm disappointed, and first of all those other people, the firemen who stood there, the other officers who stood around, because there was a whole crowd up there, ultimately, because it went out on the radio. I have a police radio. I can tell you when we're going places and all that kind of stuff. All of those officers, that was a dereliction of duty for them to let that happen. And some of them are going to be charged.
I was going to say, to me, all of them something should happen with
All of
every
them should be
person that
disciplined.
was- yes.
All of them should be disciplined. If not
Now,
tried,
will that happen? Probably not.
I think so.
You think so?
I think this is such a high-profile case. I don't think, and the lady
But
chief,
this is not the first high-profile case where officers were standing around. They did the same thing with the guy with the George Floyd with his on the.
they were
foot on the
indicted.
neck.
They were indicted.
All of them.
All 3 of them, the Asian guy and the other 2.
Yeah, but I'm saying the people, weren't there some other cops that were also standing around?
The four that were part of the original unit
They were all
with Chauvin,
indicted.
they
Yeah.
were all indicted and they're all going to jail. They were indicted civil. They were indicted by state court and in federal
And
court.
that took a year.
Well, everything that's okay because it takes time to put a case together.
But
I mean,
if I remember correctly, they did not go to jail immediately. Did not. If
no, I think
these
some of them
police
got bond.
officers went to jail immediately, did they not? These
Which ones?
five? The current one, the case that
Yes, they were all arrested for second-degree murder.
immediately.
Yes, they put their hands on him. They aided in his death.
Yeah, we
It
saw
wasn't
the
just the
other cop with
negligence.
his aiding in the guy's death with his hand on his neck saying, I can't breathe.
Right, same thing.
He didn't
No,
go to jail immediately
well, yeah, he actually did. He was under arrest
for a minute.
and he was held in custody.
And then they
He
let
was
him
in-
out.
No, they didn't let him out. Chauvin was never released,
Chauvin
as I
was never
recall.
released?
Not as I could be
Okay.
wrong. I'd have to look it up.
Some of them were released.
Oh, the
In so
other
many
three were not. The
cases.
other three were not. Who
Okay.
were his partners,
Okay.
who were standing there, who didn't do anything.
Mhm.
They were on bond, which is appropriate. They're still innocent until proven guilty,
Yeah.
quite frankly. But these guys, I'm just going to be very interesting to see what the lawyers are going to come up with, because I want you to think about this. Just think, if I was there and I watched this and or I kicked a guy once or something like that, as a lawyer, I would
We
advise.
got a caller. Last caller. Thank you for calling in. Good evening, caller.
Hi, this is Saga.
Lost the caller.
I would be the first person to tell on the others, because the first person that tells on the group will be the person that gets the most lenient sentence.
Yeah, but because of the code, caller, please feel free to call in again, 355-6018, area code 313. But because of the code, would not the police officers say, I got to be quiet?
Their
But I gotta-
career's already done. They're done. Toast. They'll have to go drive a truck or get some kind of other business. And
Well,
if
what
I were them, I
happens to
would be in
police
fear
when
because
they
I think the
tell on
community
another
would tell them.
police?
Well, it's just going to happen because I'm not going to jail for what
Got
you
another
did.
caller calling in. Caller,
Hello?
can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We got a caller
can-
calling in. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, caller. Hi, thank you for calling in. Thank you for calling.
Hello, this is your cousin.
Hello, cousin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well. So I was mentioning about the protest. Tell us more about this protest that you're going to be a part of in Memphis.
Yes, I would love to. No, it's not in Memphis, but I do think that the Memphis, what happened with those officers, set a precedent for how long it takes to serve justice to officers who don't respect the law. It took 20 days for them to be fired, for them to be reprimanded, and we're having a protest for Jaheim McMillan on Saturday, February 4th in Gulfport, Mississippi on 1016 Pass Road. We've been advocating for justice for Jaheim McMillan for over 100 days, and still no justice has been served. They haven't released the body cam footage. They haven't even said who the officer was.
What city is she
so-
talking about?
What city? This is in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Gulfport, Mississippi.
I know Mississippi. My parents are from Mississippi, both of them. My mother and my
Yeah,
father.
our family's from Mississippi too.
Exactly. So
Well,
you all are going to be down there this Saturday at 11 a.m.
Yes.
Wonderful.
At 1016 Pass Road, it was the Family Dollar where Jaheim was executed.
1016 Pass Road. So those of you who are from Mississippi listening tonight, or if you know somebody that you've got family or friends in Mississippi that want to support this endeavor, Jaheim McMillan was, what happened to him?
He was executed. So what had happened was he got out of the car with his friends at Family Dollar, and the cop saw them getting out. And within 10 seconds of the cop arriving on the scene, he had emptied an entire clip, and Jaheim was lying unresponsive on the ground, and he was later pronounced dead.
He simply exited a vehicle?
He got out of his car as soon as he saw Jaheim and his friends, and within 10 seconds, his entire clip was emptied.
Was he alone?
The cop was.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The police
I said the officer was.
alone.
No, but was Janine McMillan,
Oh,
was he alone?
Jaheim was with 4 of his friends, and his 4 friends were detained. His mother was detained when she arrived on the scene. A nurse tried to render aid, and she was slammed onto the ground and denied. The cop shot into a car of an employee at the Family Dollar. It was just absolutely reckless, negligent,
Have
and evil.
those police been arrested yet?
Not at all. They faced no consequences whatsoever, and Gulfport, Mississippi police has a past of sweeping stuff under the rug. And they're also trying to charge Jaheim's friends with murder.
How? For his death?
Yes.
Wow.
That's enough to move out of Mississippi. That's all I can tell you.
Exactly.
I am so.
And this has made no news. People don't know about it. It's not local. It's not statewide. It's not national.
Well, I'm glad to hear from you. I wasn't aware of it.
I wasn't either.
Let me suggest something to you. You might want to contact the FBI. That is a police agency, and that agency can investigate this entire situation. And I'm sure that you all have, that the family has already gotten legal advice there from someone.
Yeah.
And all these other people who were violated, every single person has a separate lawsuit because they were all violated by these actions of these rogue police officers. So I wish you the best, and you be safe during the demonstration.
Please be safe during the demonstration.
Yeah, keep your camera,
Thank
keep your phone on and everything that you can think of. You and your group, be very, very safe.
And some
The
of
police
these
are
things-
supposed to protect you, but I'm not so sure about whether they'll do that down there.
So they should
Exactly.
contact the FBI.
Absolutely.
So that they can be a part
Absolutely.
of this demonstration and assist to help protect
Well,
them.
but they should.
Hopefully.
She
But
should
honestly,
complain
I don't
about
know
what
if I
happened to
trust the
those
police
people.
to investigate the police.
The FBI will investigate. They're separate. They're federal. And you could also call your state's attorney office, your attorney general for the state, because the state police also have an obligation to investigate. But if you call the U.S. Attorney's Office for that, I think it's whichever part of Mississippi you're in, I think it may just,
Gulfport.
yeah, I'm not sure if that's east or west, I've forgotten right now. Call the U.S. Attorney's Office, call the FBI, call the Attorney General from Mississippi, and then call the head of the state police. Make formal complaints with each of them. Record them if you can. And
Okay.
and
So at least they're documented.
and all those people who were hurt, the worker who at the Family Dollar, they got in their car, all these things are major, I repeat, major civil rights violations. And they are the types of crimes that the U.S. Attorney's Office will investigate. Please
Thank
pursue
you. I
it.
appreciate your insight.
You're very welcome. Anything I can do.
And thank you. And also, at some of these protests, they have agitators that attend some of these rallies.
Come in town from out of town.
Yes.
Antifa, everybody,
And
right.
I've seen some of them. I participated in a protest during last summer,
Mm-hmm.
and I forget which killing it was. It might have been the George Floyd one. And there, I saw people in this mask, and I'm like, why do
That's
they
what
have on?
because they don't want you to know
these
who they are.
masks? Yeah, and they were like
Facial
masks
recognition.
from some movie
No.
that I've seen before. But then I've read later that they were the Antifa.
Yeah,
these
and they're
people.
armed because there's open carry in Michigan
But
and
they were the
open
ones
carry in
being-
Mississippi.
They were the ones being riotous and trying to
Right.
be,
Urge people on.
urge people on. Everybody else.
You
it
see
was
how
a
they got
peaceful
arrested in
protest.
Atlanta? Whoa, that's the first time. Only one got bond because there was only one person that was actually from Georgia that was in that burning down the police station and all the kind of stuff they were doing down there. That police chief wasn't playing, and he charged them all federally. They were all charged federally under the Homeland Security Act as terrorists, as domestic terrorists.
Good.
That's what I said.
Good.
Good.
So
Yeah.
the other caller, please feel free to call back. 355 area code 313-355-6018. As a police commissioner, is there again? I'm asked this question again. Is there anything that can be done, or some steps that might need to be taken so that we bring some type of reform to how the police are rogue police and how we are them? Welcome, caller.
It's a button over there you have to press. I'm not sure which one it is. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome,
Oh,
caller.
okay. There's been another shooting. I don't know exactly where it was, if it's Detroit or where, but they said the gentleman, he's black, and he had no legs, and they shot him. Now, how do you shoot someone that can't even run?
What city?
I don't know what city. I just saw it on Facebook the other day, and the picture, and I thought, I had already heard it, and after hearing about it, I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, unbelievable, but I can't remember what city or town. But what's really going on? It's like gang banging cops in blue. Are they initiated to do such evil?
No, they're not initiated to do evil. And if they've had proper training and if there's proper discipline within the department, those kind of things don't happen. But I can tell you, when someone gives you a 9mm and then 2 other shell casings, I think with 18 bullets each, that you carry across your chest, and you have on a bulletproof vest, and you have a what is it called? It's not tweezer. You know what I'm talking about? Taser. You have a taser, and you also have what we used to call a billy club, as well as mace. All of these are tools that the police can use. It makes you feel powerful. It's a power trip.
It's getting to the point where we need to have some kind of oversee for the overseers, because it's just ridiculous, all these senseless crimes, and the family, the community, and people, we're just like, what? We don't know what to do. We feel threatened whether we do everything that they ask us to do. We still don't feel like we're going to make it home safely.
What city are you in?
I live in Detroit.
Well, we have,
but I'm just saying it's so scary. I've been pulled over before and rudely spoken to, and as if I was a runaway and I was a convicted murderer, felon, or whatever. And the tone and the attitude was so amazingly surprising. And here I am, just a gray-headed senior citizen, and I'm like, "Yes, officer, how you doing?" And don't go nowhere. It's just the way his attitude and everything. And these were just cops that were school cops. They wasn't even the Detroit or the state, and they had the attitude that was very, very hostile, and just like attitudes, what's drilling, what's going on, the state of the mind of having a suit and a gun, that you have to come so aggressively.
If there are a number of police authorities, first of all, if that happened with DPD, I'll give you the number again about how to file the complaint. All you have to do is dial 313-596-2499. Again, 313-596-2499. If it's a DPD officer. But there are a number of police
Detroit Public Schools,
Yeah, but there are a number of police authorities that operate in Detroit. The medical center has a police authority. Wayne County Community College has a police authority. Gilbert has his own police authority.
Wayne State has an order.
Yeah, Wayne State has its own police. No, not Academy. Has constitutional rights, and when those constitutional rights are violated, you have a right to file a complaint. And if you were hurt or in some way, if there was excessive force, then of course you could sue civilly, and you can sue in federal court as well. You can sue in state court or federal court. So I urge you, to take copious notes when this happens. If you can, turn your phone on, start videotaping yourself and the officer. Ask the officer if they have a body cam. If they're not showing their body cam, it's supposed to be on. Officer, please don't speak to me until you turn your body cam on. Period. But when there is a citizen encounter in the city of Detroit, it's mandatory. And many departments do not have body cams, so it doesn't work everywhere. But you can have your own phone. Most people know how to record themselves on their own cell phone. So start recording before they even get to your window, because there's usually an officer on the other side as well. There's an officer on the other side of your car at the passenger door, and there's an officer on your side. who's talking to you.
Thank you for calling in, caller. We've got another caller calling in now, too. Thank you so much for calling in. And you've got that number. Our next caller are you there?
Hello.
Hello? Yes, hi, caller.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to say I got pulled over by Wayne State as well. They do have their own policemen over there. They're notorious over
Yes,
there
you said
for
it's called Wayne State Police
harassing
Authority.
the community in at the Wayne State area. I got pulled over for a traffic violation. Nobody was on the street but me and this white cop. And I was like, officer, I'm not out here. I'm not threatening to anyone. But he said because I changed my mind and I should have made a right, I was moving traffic violation. So he gave me a ticket and I went down to the courts and I beat it because he didn't show up because he knew it was frivolous. You know, I was like, you pulling me over? Okay, I made a mistake. I forgot to make a right. But it was nobody out in the streets because I dropped my son off at school early in the morning. Nobody was there, so that even me going straight wasn't going to hurt or harm anybody or anything. So I took the ticket, but he messed it up real good. So when I got there, they was like, they didn't know what that ticket was about.
He did not want you. He did not want you to be fined or penalized or get any points. He actually or she actually just pulled you over, quite frankly, to warn you. But they decided to issue some paperwork. But clearly,
Yes.
but clearly, you made a very favorable impression on the officer, and they decided to let it go. They don't have to show up. If they don't show up, then obviously you can't be tried or convicted.
Yes. Thanks for taking my call, and we got to keep praying and get together and do some type of, get these legislations passed that will save the citizens, because it's not making any sense. It's just really sounding more and more demonic.
Yeah.
God bless you.
God bless you. And
Thank
you for
you.
calling in. Well, we're down to 4 minutes before the hour, so I know it's almost time to go. I so thank you for coming and being my guest today. And you have your own show that comes on Saturdays.
Correct.
At what time? Is it 10?
11 to 11:55.
11
Yes, it's
to
called Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard.
Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard on Saturdays right here on
That's correct.
WJZZ.
On
Cool
WJZZ
TV.
Cool TV.
Go ahead.
But I'm so excited, and thank you so much for inviting me to join you today.
Oh, most certainly.
But you are with WC3, correct?
Yes,
Wayne
I
County
am.
Community College. And can you just let people know, if you don't mind, what you do with them? I mean,
Oh, I'm an executive director at Wayne County Community College District, and we do have a police authority as well.
Correct, you
and,
do.
It's an excellent university. I always actually talk about Wayne County usually at the beginning and tell people of the wonderful programs that we're offering, and in particular a lot of the work while you get educated programs that we offer, whether it's the CDL training or Roush Automotive, where people can learn and get trained in how to do the electric vehicles, which is the
job of the future.
of the future. Those of you who are listening, you need to, especially young people and all you mechanics out there, learn electric vehicle technology while it is inexpensive and free to do. We have programs where you can be trained and go to school and work and make, I think it's $17 an hour while you're being trained. Just like there used to be horse and buggy, and then there were Model T Ford cars, and then we're in the cars we are now. Well, we're going to be doing away, even though you can't see that, doing away with the vehicles, the emission vehicles and the gas that we use now. And we're going to be doing all automotive electrical vehicles. So thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for Attorney
Linda Bernard.
Linda Bernard for being our guest today. Thank you for all the wonderful questions, listeners and callers. We appreciate you. Tune in next week. We're going to have a male mentoring program, and we're going to be talking about that and some of the wonderful things that they're doing in the community, because we need to help our males. We look at these males that went to jail, where our males need to be strengthened. We have a million programs for women and
Right.
not enough.
And I want to
for the
congratulate
men.
you on the work that you do in the jails and prisons throughout southeastern Michigan. I commend you highly. I've done it as well, and it's an amazing thing to see how much human talent is wasted
It
behind
is.
bars, just vegetating,
Just
doing
vegetating.
nothing.
So when they come out, I help them get into Wayne County Community College District or start their own programs. I assist them with starting their own business.
That's
as well.
fantastic.
And I'm a Lions Club International member, and we do a lot of things to give them furniture, clothing, for anybody who needs it.
I have great
Burned
respect
out.
for the Lions Club. I'd like to talk to you
wonderful.
sometime about the Lions
Definitely.
Club. People don't know what it is and what it does,
Yes.
unless you're in the suburbs, unfortunately.
Well, no, we've got.
I know we've got one here, but I'm just saying
Yes.
people don't know like
Don't
they did
know
in the
about
old
it.
days.
Mhm.
They used to really know a lot about the Lions Club. It was a civic engagement.
And that's one of the things I try to bring more